noisy, aren't they? I think it's getting up to baby seagull season. And then they just become absolute cunts, don't they? Attacking people, dive bombing you. Trying to protect their baby seagulls. Yeah, so I would say I made a video, but I didn't have enough time to explain something else that I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that I'm sure other people have experienced. I don't know if anyone had this when they were a child, but when you get a hearing check when you're a child and they put you in this this box, like a chamber type thing in school. Does any of you remember that? You're put in this kind of... I remember it. I don't even know if it was in my school. I don't have that good a memory. It kind of seems like something that it wouldn't be. They wouldn't have these set up in school, so I don't know where this memory's coming from. But they put you in this sealed kind of room within a room, a box within a room, and then they put headphones on you and play sounds. And any time you hear a sound, you have to hold up your hand corresponding with the ear that you hear it in. So obviously if you hear a sound in your left ear, you hold up your left hand. But I have a distinct memory of that happening. Also, it's something that happens in the army, so maybe I'm just confusing the memories and thinking the army memory is a childhood memory, but I have a better memory of the time that the army do that. You know, they obviously have to do all kinds of tests on you to see if you can see and hear properly. You know, you would think they just take any old shite. They do, they really do. It's just a threat for what's to come later. That's all it is. It's that wind again. So like we talk about army stuff. Leave us out of it. We are not the cause of any of that. You fucking are. The biggest cause I've ever known of any of this. But yeah, it's a test, I suppose, to see if you're fit enough and your hearing is good enough for the military. But you know, it's not really. It's just like these tests that happen throughout your life, throughout your childhood. Eyesight tests, colour blindness tests. They're all tests to see what it is that you can see and hear, how sensitive your hearing is. They want to know that, so that they can fuck with you later on down the line, really. And it's exactly kind of where I think, why I think that's developed. Definitely in my case anyway. Like I said before, I think I've been targeted from when I was a child, and I think my parents were. I think my dad especially, because of his background. And yeah, so I think these tests are kept on record somewhere, and it shows the precision of your hearing. And also, you know, these tests are carried out throughout your life just without you kind of realising it. Excuse me. For example, I used to deliver. My job for 20 years was, I was a HGV driver, a class 1 lorry driver. And one of the places, I haven't worked for the last 3 years. I was gang stalked out of my job. I worked in that job for 7 years, but I mean, I'd been lorry driving for most of my working life. I got my licence. I got my HGV licence in the army. I was only 17 and I could drive a class 1, you know, a 44 tonner. So that's what I'd done for all my working life. But one of the places I used to deliver to was a bakery. I used to collect from different food manufacturers, and then you take them to the supermarkets, distribution centre, where they get distributed to all the stores. But this bakery, they used to have this sound playing, and I don't know if you've ever seen on the excuse me, God, excuse me, I need to get a drink probably. don't know if you've seen on the news, I think they trialled them. I don't know if they do it as a thing, but I think they trialled using devices outside, shopping precincts that emit a kind of high frequency noise that's only audible to young ears to deter, little hooligans from hanging about. I don't know if it's something that's actually ever been brought in, but I remember seeing it on the news. Well, in this bakery that I used to collect the product from, they used to have this noise, this really, really high-pitched noise going off every so often, at certain intervals. And I would hear it, and it's kind of painful to hear. And I was probably, I don't know what age I was when I'd done that job. I was in my 30s anyway, my mid to early to mid 30s when I worked there. And I would say to the guy, there was this guy that worked there, and I would always say to him, oh, that noise is really fucking, it's not painful, but it's, enough that you wouldn't want to hang about for too long. And they wouldn't do it. It wasn't a continuous noise. It was just something that they'd done in short blasts. And he told me that it was to keep the birds away. The birds didn't like that noise. And he would say, he was a kind of older guy, he was in his, 60s I think, and he would say that he couldn't hear it. He said, they used to say to me, oh, you must have really young ears because I can't hear that. But I think, again, going back to that, it was just another test, Like if you've been targeted, you've probably been targeted your whole life, and these people that they put around you in these situations they put you in, it's all a test, and it's all to find out. Because obviously your hearing, along with your sight and everything else, will probably deteriorate over time as you get older. So I think these systems, this was kind of put in place to get a scope of how it was that my hearing was at that point, now that I'd reached my 30s. And then if I fast forward another kind of 10 years, just before the target went overt. So I'm in my mid-40s now. Although someone said, Jen, thank you, saying that I sound really young. I'm not young, I'm in my mid-40s. But thank you, it was really nice. It made me smile. I sound like a fucking idiot, more like, I don't know about really young. So just before my target went overt, I was in my early 40s. Obviously 3 years ago. I used to hear this. I started hearing this beeping sound in my home. It's like a beep, I can't do it. My voice doesn't. I can't do a high note like that, but like a high frequency beep. And obviously your first reaction is to turn towards the direction that noise is coming from. And this continued. It was strange, because I didn't have smoke alarms in my home. There was nothing really that would have been making that sound. But of course, it's just another little game that they're playing, isn't it? To see where your hearing function is at that point. It's been tested in my teens, it's been tested in my childhood, been tested in my 20s, in my 30s, and now they want to test it. Now it's probably been carried out. These are just examples that I realise, but it's probably been carried out without you knowing it. You're being observed at all times. So these little sounds have probably been played throughout your life in the background, and you're being observed, and unknowingly observed. And they're playing these really high frequency, or even low frequency, I don't know, noises. And then someone's there observing how it is you react to them, and what direction it is that you turn in, to get an idea of, how your hearing is. Because I presume your hearing isn't perfectly, like standard on each side. I presume it's like people's eyes. Some people have a good eye and a kind of stronger eye and a not so strong eye, or we're not completely symmetrical, are we? I would presume. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, clearly, but I think that's happening. So these are just examples in the environment. But yeah, in my house, I would hear this beep, this really, really high-pitched beep, and I would, obviously, because I didn't know what was happening, I would turn towards whatever direction it was coming in, or whatever direction that I could hear it coming from. And I remember this distinctly because it would come from both directions. it would come, you know, sometimes it would be that I would look left, and sometimes it would be that I would look right, and that's within my home. So this is obviously set out, you know, to test what noises, what frequency of noises your ears pick up, and then they can possibly, again, through observing you, bring the frequency to a level that you're audibly, not consciously picking it up, but you are in some way, so that you're reacting to it subconsciously. You're turning your head, you're pointing your focus in a certain direction, but you're not consciously hearing a noise. And then obviously that's kind of taken note of, and that is the noise or the frequency that they'll use against you to get you to focus on the things that they want you to focus on in the future. So, like I said, does that make sense? I feel like it probably doesn't make sense. It's a butterfly. I hope it makes sense. I hope you know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, then now, you know, once they've kind of got you, I presume the testing is still happening at all times. And if there's a you know, a kind of eye reader, what would you call that? Like a, you know, if you're using a tablet or a phone, it's reading your eye movements. If you have the camera uncovered, I don't. On my phone, the camera, the front and back camera, unless I'm using it as I am now. Let me just show you this. Yeah, unless I'm using it as I am now, then the front and back cameras are covered. Well, the cameras that I'm aware of, I don't know. It's probably a whole screen camera, and I'm just being recorded regardless. So, you know, in an ideal world, it would be advisable to stay away from all kinds of tech, but, you know, we live in a world that you kind of need it to do anything, and, you know, to be in contact with anyone, and for us to get our stories out and to tell others, then it's a necessary evil, unfortunately. But yeah, your eye movements are probably being tracked with, you know, I presume that they have the technology to put something in your eye. I definitely have a floater. That's a floater. I don't think it's a floater that just appeared there organically. But it's been in my eyes in my one eye for about 3 years, and it moves with I can focus on it sometimes if I look into the light. Look into the light, Caroline. I focus on it and it moves with obviously my eye moving. You know, it's probably an eye tracking something device. You know, which is they probably don't like it so much when I wear sunglasses. But anyway, I hope something you find that interesting. I don't know, probably a lot of shite that I'm talking, who knows. It's just the things I think of when I'm, you know, thinking. I have a lot of time to think. I do nothing but think. Overthink sometimes. I need to take a break from thinking, which is hence why I used to get absolutely blotto, blackout drunk. It's because my brain is non-switch offable, and yes, you just want to switch off at times, escape. Just want to escape from the thinking. But anyway, the wind's picking up. Probably won't be able to hear any of this. And it's the most sense I feel like I've spoken in a while. So that's unfortunate. But anyway, you take care. Lots of love to you all. And again, Jen, thank you for saying I sound young. That's very nice of you. I don't fucking look young, but sounding young, I'll take that. I'll take it. Thank you very much. Anyway, lots of love. Bye bye.